Can't. Hey everybody, this is Matt and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching. This is the final live stream that we will be doing this year. Don't fret, I'll be doing more next year, but I think we needed to round it out for one last live stream, New Year's Eve, and I have a bunch of stuff to tell you guys about. Well, I have a couple things to tell you guys about. And I want to take some questions from y'all, and it's just going to be us though, because Chris is not here today. He's not feeling 100%. So if you have Chris's phone number, bombard his phone with messages and texts to let him know that you care about him and that you wish him well, or that you don't wish him any specific harm. So anyway, I didn't want to clean a glass, so I got this paint mixing cup. And Chris isn't here to tell me not to, so I'm just drinking Shinerbach out of this paint mixing cup because one, I think it's funny, and B, Chris isn't here to tell me not to. So anyway, I was going to tell you guys, the reason that Chris is feeling poorly is we went and got our COVID boosters the other day. And I feel fine because I'm a man. And actually I had an owie on my arm, and Chris was like, I didn't even feel it. I don't think I even got one. That was Chris talking. And then the next day he was like, oh God, I don't feel good. And so we don't know if it's because, you know, he's having a reaction or what it probably is. We don't think he's got the booty cootie or anything like that. So, but anyway, so Chris isn't feeling so hot. And so he's going to take the rest of the year off, which is, you know what? A very, very good friend of mine once said that the week between Christmas and New Year's should be, you just sort of chill out and you just don't worry about doing anything. Now, I don't necessarily follow that advice, but it's really good advice. So anyway, so we hope that Chris is doing well, and we hope that he doesn't get mad that I'm drinking beer out of one of his paint mixing cups. And if he does, it's not like we can't get more. And let me tell you, nothing tastes quite like Shinerbach out of a paint mixing cup. Just saying. So wow, there's a bunch of people here already. Guys, thanks for tuning in. So I'm gonna just go through the list here. I'm gonna talk to you guys because that's what I do. Richard is here. How you doing, Richard? Doug is here. Doug, are you still planning on coming out in January? If you are, I don't know about it. Or if you sent me a message, I haven't read it yet. Let me know. It's cool either way. Let me know. Slacker Deluxe is here. Doc is here. Hi, Doc. Lefty is here. Terry is here. Lefty O is here. Sean is here. Hey, Devin is here. Ryan is here. Sean is here. Dan is here. I know that you guys, we're just going to breeze through this. I don't want to miss anybody. Gary Redburn is here. Gary, we've been working on, I want to say this in the best possible way, the way that it sounds the funniest. Gary, here we go. Gary, your prostitute is almost ready. You guys know what that means if you've been watching the show. Michael is here. RVA Handmade Guitars is here. Dylan is here. Hey, Dylan, how are you, man? Neil is here. Zither Beast is here. And I guess he's getting a buttload of snow up in Chicago. Michael McCoy is here. It's great to have all of you guys. Look, even Texas Toast Chris is here. And it is good. He says, that's even my good mixing. Oh, Chris, we hope that you're doing well, sir. I think I am going to take part of tomorrow off too. Yeah, so I think that would be fine. But guys, let me tell you, I wasn't taking today off. In fact, I was working on a project today that I have never done before. Now, when I tell you, you're going to be like, well, what's the big deal about that? That sounds just like regular thing that you do all the time. But Chris and I decided we wanted to do for lack of a better term, a Challenger custom. And we're probably going to come up with like a silly name for it. You know, like there's the regular Challenger, which is the least silly of all the names that we have. And then there's the Honey 1%er, which is the P90 one that I love. And so now there's one that's got an ebony board, and there'll be pictures coming soon. It's got an ebony board and block inlays. and it's got 5-ply binding on the body. Now, I have done purfling before a long time ago, but it was usually on acoustics and it was usually wood and it wasn't that big of a deal. But 5-ply plastic, and generally speaking, purfling isn't 5-ply. So this is 5-ply plastic binding with 20 thousandths binding, black, white, black, and then 60 thousandths white on the edge. And it looks so, so good. But I've never done it before. So, I was kind of like, well, it just seemed like a good day to do it. Because Chris isn't here and I got Tony's Cavaquejo all carved yesterday and his other guitars are good to go. And we're just getting a bunch of these older projects done because that's what needs to happen. But while I was working on that, this other person who his name is coincidentally Matt walked in the door, and he's this cowboy guy, and he had like a hat on, and he looked like he wore it for real. You know what I mean? Like he didn't look like me. So if you grew up in Texas, you saw two kinds of people that wore cowboy clothing. There was the genuine article shit kicking cowboy, and then there was the city faggot in the hat. This guy was definitely the genuine article shit kicking cowboy. And I'm like, well, can I help you? Because I had no idea who this dude was. And he's looking for somebody. I'm looking for Candy. Sorry, I think you got the wrong place, man. And he stops and he does a double take, which is something that I did a bunch today. And he's like, you guys make guitars? And I'm like, yeah, we sure do, buddy. And he goes, and I'm kind of like shining him on. And he goes, I own Hunter Leather right across the street. And I'm like, well, shit, man, you should have led with that. So we start talking about guitars and leather stuff. And he's like, you got a second? I'm like, yeah, of course. So I, lock the door, throw on my coat, and we go over to across the street to Hunter Leather, which they've been making leather stuff for 8 decades. And Colorado Saddlery, which has been making saddles for 7 decades. And I guess I was talking to him, his name's Matt, and then he introduced me to this guy, like his CFO or something. And his name's Andy. And he's like, Andy's a guitar player too. You got to meet him. So we go over there. And so we start like chatting and stuff. And I go, what would be cool is a leather guitar strap. He goes, we have a thing. We have a die for one of those. I'm like, yeah, let's see it. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, you saw a picture of me and Matt and Andy in the Hunter Leather factory. And I mean, they're kind of like winding down, like no one's there, like making stuff right now. So it was basically just me like going, wow, look at all these tools I don't have. I got to get one of those. What are you going to use it for? I don't know. But like anytime I see a cool new tool, I just think it's neat. And it smelled like leather in there and it was great. And so they were super cool guys. And so wouldn't it be cool to have like a Texas Toast guitar strap that was in all of the cases? Those of you who know that we are trying to up our presentation game. But then I thought, what else would be cool would be like leather pick guards, like embossed leather pick guards for tellies and strats and stuff. He's like, yeah, that's great. Let's do that too. So there's going to be a bunch of great stuff coming from Texas Toast, and a bunch of it could be leather stuff. Now, imagine this. Say you came to one of our workshops and you were here at the shop anyway. And one of the features was we could walk across the street and we could make custom straps for the guitars that you're building here in the workshop. What would be cooler than that, you ask? I ask. And you would say, I can't think of a thing, Matt. So I'd like to know what you guys think about the potential of having a super cool leather thing that's kind of custom for us. So I was blown away. And it was just a complete rando meeting. And it's been a bunch of people. The last class that we had, there were just some people that just kind of walked in and were like, what do you want? And they like, I think we must've been on some new Google search or something, but I never fail to be surprised at the people who are just kind of waiting around to, to hang out with me. So like, and I love hanging out with all you guys too. So anyway, so we're also going to do question and answer tonight. And I think that would be a wonderful thing. But bear with me. If you have a question, if you want, whatever you guys want to talk about, how about this? If you have a question that has anything to do with guitar making, if you want to try to stump Matt, can't be that tricky. Put a bunch of question marks and so I can see it. If you want to talk about how cool leather is, I don't know. You could put like a bunch of asterisks in front of it. And remember, you only have one asterisk. So Homer's Reluctant Odyssey says leather gig bags are awesome. That would be cool. Leather strap, hell yeah, says Sean. Joe says, we love ore. Okay, that's cool. And then he retracted something after that. Joe, I think I might be missing something here. Jeffrey says, who wouldn't want some leather for straps? Of course. Ryan says he would have asked for chaps and a leather whip. Now, Ryan gets it right. Okay. Ryan gets it. Somebody put something about assless chaps. And I'm like, all chaps don't have it. There's no ass in chaps. It's not like they're pants. Now you could have like assless leather pants, but chaps go on over pants or a Speedo, but whatever you want to wear them over. So yeah. Okay. All right. So we're getting some questions here. I love that you guys are doing this. Thank you for joining me. Oh, okay. So before we get to the first question, Smoothie C is here, and Smoothie C, your guitar was in paint and looks like $100 million. I'm half a mind to run over there and grab it, but I don't think I'm gonna. Unless you just have to see it. If not, I'll take a picture and send it to you. So it's got to be wet sanded and buffed, and I got all the gold hardware for it, and it's going to be rad. Okay. Dan asks, Matt, sounds like you could have something nice in leather. Hey, you could have something nice made out of leather. You know what? Why couldn't you have something nice? And if you're getting a little long in the tooth to be playing for hours and hours, maybe you could have something with a little, like a wide thing, maybe with some pad on there. I don't know. And I saw some really, really neat stuff over there today, you guys. You could get something with some cartridge loops on there, and you could, I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Have a good time. But the guys at Hunter Leather were super, super cool and very, very nice guys. So expect to see more in the way of, maybe we'll even do a live stream with Matt and Andy from Hunter Leather. They're right across the street. Joe says that we love it. Typing error. Sorry, Joe, we love you too, man. Doug Santaniello says figured leather fabric top guitar. Well, we could do like a pebbled leather, Doug. Okay. I'm going to tell you guys a story. When I was working at Rare Bird Guitar Laboratory, hold on, I got to get it. I got to get in my kind of chill out mode because I want to tell you guys a story. I used to work for a guy who named Bruce Clay, and I absolutely idolized Bruce Clay, and in many ways I still do. So once I was at the shop, and Clarence Gatemouth Brown came into the shop, and Bruce was going to make him a guitar. Now, do you guys know who Clarence Gatemouth Brown is? He really awesome guitar player, and he kind of got lumped into this like I'm a blues guitar player. Although if he were to tell you, he would say no, he's a jazz guitar player. But he played a lot of blues stuff. But like he would like go on like shows and like hang out with like Roy Clark and like guys who were like really awesome players, and like he was just an awesome player too. Anyway, but he was kind of the salty, crusty guy when I met him, because this would have been 92 or 3. And so anyway, Clarence Gatemouth Brown comes into the shop, and he's a salty old crusty guy. And Bruce Clay was there, and Bruce Clay was born a salty old crusty guy. And so they were talking about guitars, and they basically were just like kind of arguing with each other about what guitar they wanted to make for this one person. And it all came down to brass tacks when Gatemouth Brown said, and it's got to have a leather pickguard. And Bruce just flew off the handle. I'm not making a leather pickguard. And Clarence Gatemouth Brown said, every guitar has to have a leather pickguard. I thought they were going to have a fist fight, you guys. I think I've told you this story now that I mention it. But so if I have, I'm sorry. And if I have, I hope that you guys like hearing it again. But yeah, so wouldn't it be neat though to have like some people, Gatemouth Brown, really like leather pickguards. Some people, Bruce Clay, not so much. But wouldn't it be cool to have like some standard things with like emboss on it, like basket weave or, like flowery stuff, Pachunk leather pickguard Telecaster. I'm sorry, Daily Driver. Wouldn't that be cool? I would rock one of those. So yeah. So Doug, so that's a long way around the barn for me to go, Doug. I'm not sure how I would do a leather figured leather, but you know what? We can do tooled leather. That would be cool. So yeah. Okay. Richard Perry says Waylon Jennings telly. Somebody, okay, yeah, that's true. The Waylon Jennings telly is a it's like a whole like a jacket almost for a guitar. And we a friend of mine has one. In fact, a friend of mine named Dave DeVoe came into the shop today, and we went out to lunch with Mike Learn and Diana Learn, and that was wonderful. It was great to see those people. And yeah, so anyway, Dave has one of those Waylon guitars, and they're pretty neat. But anyway, I don't know. Yeah. So Ken asks, Matt, what happened to building Phil's guitar? Funny you should ask. Phil's guitar is right over there, and it's got sealer on it, and it's just about ready for paint. Of course, Chris took some time off, so and I'm not going to paint it because that's Chris is the paint guy. He is the master of all things paint related. So anyway, but his new guitar is over there, and his old guitar is over there. So I think he's going to like the new one a lot better, because it's kind of it's the one that is that we want to make. You know what I mean? It's going to be cool. It's hard to vamp by myself. It's not that I can't do it, but Chris will tell you, it's not like he has to talk all the time, but he does have to talk a little bit. So anyway, Ken, Phil's guitar is coming along excellently, and I think it should be done very, very soon. Corey wants to know, when direct mounting pickups, do you use a different routing template or is it the same? We do use a slightly smaller one. We try to get that a little bit snug. By the way, Corey, I'm still waiting on your neck, but I got your Hipshot black Hipshot tall bridge. They made a special one for us. Excellent. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Maybe you can come by after the new year with your inlay, and we can get your guitar moving and shaking, because I think that would be cool. Michael McCoy says, would you use leather on the leather guitar? I think he wants to know leather dye. So yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Mike, and then he corrects it. If I could read the whole thing, if I could read, then hey, I could read. Yeah, I think you would use leather dye on the leather guitar. Why not? Yeah. Richard Perry says that Gatemouth Brown played country too, and he did. Chris says he missed so much that he really did miss a lot today. Yeah, so Dave called me, or he sent me a message. He's like, hey, have you guys had lunch yet? I'm like, no, I haven't. He's like, well, why don't I bring something over? I'm like, well, I'll tell you what, let's go out. So I'm kind of, farting around waiting for Dave to get here. And in walks Mike Learn and Diana Learn, and they're like, hey, we're here to take you to lunch. I'm like, awesome. Dave's coming over to take me to lunch too. So the downside to that is I only got the one lunch, but the upside is I got to go out and hang out with some good friends. So today was full of surprises, you guys. You know how I say that you should? No, I don't say you should. You know how I say that once I realized that when I opened myself up to all of the abundance that the world has to offer, it was like, lo and behold, all sorts of things became something that was a possibility. I spent so much time being kind of angry and pissed off and wanting to punch everybody in the nose. And if you start to look for something, don't be surprised if you find it. And if you start to look for things to go wrong, well, don't be surprised if they go wrong. And if you start to look for things that are going to go right and be great, and then they do, mind blown, right? So yeah, what a great day. And yeah, excellent day. And it's, you know what, there's still half of it left. So anyway, all right, that's me being spiritual. Rants off a little bit here. So okay, don't worry, I'll rant again. Doc asks, with the truss rods you use, what is the thinnest the neck can be at the first fret? That is a great question. So what you're actually asking is, with the truss rods that we use and no other kind of sneaky tricks, which I'm going to go into, you can easily go 800 thousandths at the first fret. Now, we did a neck that was like basically an Ibanez Wizard style neck. Very, very slim. I think it was like 7/4. And what we did was we kind of cheated a little bit, and we cut a slot in the fretboard such that the truss rod was half in the neck and like 3/4 in the neck and 1/4 in the fretboard. And that way we could get it a little deeper. So we could get a little thinner carve. So that's kind of a little sneaky thing that you can do. The other thing that you absolutely have to do when you're doing that is you just don't want to give a bunch of, you don't want to have a bunch of play. So generally speaking, if your truss rod is, say, I did one today, the truss rod was like 3.65 thick. And normally I'll go like 3.85, 3.9 even, and just have like 20, 30 thousandths in between the truss rod stops and where the fretboard begins, and have like a little bit of a gap there. But you can make that a lot tighter. You know what I mean? You can have it be like almost 1-to-1. That would be another way to go. So yeah, that is definitely a cool thing to do. I have another thing that I don't know if I probably can't talk about it yet. I can talk about it like Saturday would be the earliest, because that'll be the first of the year. There's a new thing from Bitterroot that I think might make some of that be a non-issue. So anyway, hey, Bobby Dill wants to know, hey, Matt, got all my parts lined up for the daily driver body. Give you an arrival time soon. Thanks. Thank you, Bobby. I'm looking forward to seeing you. And when you come here, let's talk about the super cool white Limba Flying V, or is it black Limba? I can't remember. It's in a box back there, and it's white Limba, and it's Limba, and it's beautiful, and it's going to be a great guitar, and I'm looking forward to doing that. And I know Chris is too. Let's see. Carl asked Chris, "Are you feeling any better yet?" And he says, "Yes, but not 100%. Just felt off for the last couple of days." So we hope that Chris is doing a good thing, or is feeling a little better. And I hope, let's hope it was just kind of a, sometimes you get a funny reaction for whatever reason. All this stuff affects people differently, right? Okay. All right. Adam Croft, Chris says, Texas Toast. Chris, hope you don't have the dreaded allergy. I don't think he does. Rick B says that felt like a Mike Brady speech. Guys, I'm kind of a spiritual guy. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that in a sacrilegious way. I guess like it would be ideal if that I could be as cool. I'll never be this cool, never in 100 million years. But it would be the coolest thing for me would be if I was like the Patrick Swayze character in Point Break. That will never. I'm never going to be that cool. I'm not even going to be as cool as the Patrick Swayze character in the dumbest Patrick Swayze movie ever. But yeah, but that's what I'm going for. So okay, all right. Let's see. There's some different talk about different rods here. Jeffrey Egan asks, where do you get good screws that don't snap in half when you screw them in? And yes, I pre-drilled. Jeffrey, I know your pain. Man, we have had that happen to us at some really not good moments. I think that some of the best places to get screws would be places like McMaster Carr or Granger or something like that, and get the stainless steel ones. They're harder to bust. They're not that like chrome plated zinc or whatever, what are made out of like old toilet paper tubes or whatever. Some of those screws that come with the, the various stuff are. So yeah. Anyway, Matt, are those cuts on your knuckles? You're not bleeding in your shop. Yeah. Okay. So I have a bunch of owies and mostly, okay. So I've been doing a bunch of binding. So these cuts on my knuckles are actually where my hands are dry and crack, and it happens all the time. This is a, I don't know what this is, like paint or something. I have a really bad owie right here. And this happened last Sunday. And someone was asking me how that happened. I'm like, I just bumped my hand into something metal. I was just like wandering around and boinked my hand into something, or my arm. And I'm like, Jesus, I'm already like, my skin is like paper thin. I'm so old. So yeah, I'm not bleeding in my shop very much. Oh, this is binding goo. I was doing binding today. Okay. And thank you for thinking about me, Corey. Sean asks, any idea where to get color information for Gibson 80s Purple Burst? No. But what I can tell you, Sean, is that if you go to, I don't know where you live, but I'm betting that if you live in even a small city, big town, there is probably an automotive paint place that has many, many, many gigantic paint chip books. And you're like, hey, I need to see all the purples. And I go, oh, punk. Here's all the purples that we have or that we can mix. That would be a good place to start. And remember, even though those purples are going to be automotive paints and opaque, you don't have to spray them so heavily that they turn everything opaque purple. So if you want to be able to see the wood, I'm not exactly 100% familiar with the Gibson 80s Purple Burst, but assuming that you can see lumber underneath it, any of those automotive paints would work great. So that might be something to give a try. That's where I would start. So, okay. Jim Jam Jimmy. I'm going to see Jim Jam Jimmy here in a little while. I think there's talk of some festivities. You know, Jim and I have been working out. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm totally buff now. Yeah. So ask me where something is. Hey, Matt, where's my guitar? It's right over there. So, yeah. So we've been doing a little bit of lifting, and I've even been doing a little bit of tanning because none of you jamokes are going to be laughing at me and my cutoffs this year because my legs are too white. So, and those cutoffs aren't going anywhere. Those aren't going anyplace, you guys. Cutoffs for life. That's a hashtag. You know it is. So, let's see. So, okay. Well, not a lot more questions. Guys, if you have any more questions, please keep them coming. I love to hang out with y'all. Doc says, I feel your pain. Did your hand tighten or use power tool? Okay. So Doc is, I feel your pain. I think he's talking about how dry my hands are. And Doc, this is something that happens to me every year. And it hasn't been super bad, but it gets really bad. And it's so dry here in Colorado that it's going to get worse. And yes, I do try to moisturize. I've got right on my bench here, I've got some of this stuff, which is good stuff. But yeah, you know how it is especially when you're working with like acetone and plastic and wood, and it's so dry. And yeah, so it's, man, I guess I just get dry hands. So, so anyway, so Doc says, hold on, I missed it here. I feel your pain. Did you hand tighten or use power tools like I did when okay. Yeah. So he's actually talking about screws, not my cuts on my hand. Yeah, you can. All right. Sorry, that's my phone, not yours. So the deal with that is I actually think that, you can do damage with even a hand driver. But one of the things that I like to do is lubricate the screws. We have a thing in all of the toolboxes that we have for classes is this stuff called screw wax. And it's just this kind of like, I don't know, sticky wax stuff that you kind of dip the screw in and it sticks to the threads and it makes everything slide in nice. Soap or candle wax or something like that. If you've got really dirty ears, ear wax would probably do it. If you have a bunch of bees living by your house, you could like, but yeah, any kind of wax or soap or lubricant, the screw wax, I think I spent like a bunch of money on screw wax. I should have just went to the dollar store and bought everybody a bar of soap. Live and learn, right? So so any of that stuff will go a long way to helping. But if you've got a dodgy screw, it's even that's not gonna make the difference. So let's see. Carl says there's too many cheap. There really are. Like it seems like we just about replace every single screw that we get with like a bridge. Unless it's stuff from Hipshot. We always have good luck with the stuff from Hipshot. Like they use the good stuff. But like anytime you get like a bridge or something from Amazon, if Chris is still watching, he'll tell you. Neck plates that come with screws, we shit can the screws. Bridges that come with screws, they suck. We buy them like 1,000 at a time from McMaster Car or somewhere. And we get the good ones, the stainless ones. And it makes all the difference in the world. So, and by the way, guys, they're standard screws. You know what I mean? You might not be able to get them at Home Depot, but they're standard things, standard lengths. And so they're easy to get. You guys know that. So yeah, McMaster Car would be a great resource for that stuff. So let's say we have a super chat here that I'm missing here. It's from Paul Edwards, and it looks like it's in metric money because there's the little pound sign there. Paul writes, "Happy holidays, guys." I'm going to try to. I'm not going to do it in an accent because all I'm going to do is upset people. But he says, "Happy holidays, guys. If you were going to build an Acoustasonic style guitar, how would you tackle the electronics?" Shit question, I know. That's not a shit question, Paul. That's a great question. I think that there are the Fishman stuff here. Something like this. Our friend BK sent us this stuff. You can cop so many. You don't have to put double humbuckers in there, but one of the things that I would do is I would get some sort of the thing about the Acoustasonic is all the different style of things that it has, and some of it are fairly presumptuous. Like, oh, I want it to sound like a D28, so you go click, 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 click to the D28 sound. Does it sound like a D28? Maybe, but I think that you could do a lot of tone shaping with a regular piezo pickup, like a good one, not like the 50-cent Amazon things, which will work. But if you got like a good Fishman style electric guitar deal and an EQ pedal, I think you could cop every single sound that is available on the Acoustasonic. It would just take you a little bit more time, but you'd have a guitar that you made, which that's cool too. So that's how I would roll on that one. And that wasn't a shit question, by the way, my friend. That was a great question, and thank you very, very much. Okay, so there's some questions. Ryan says, Matt, you should wear the winter cut. You guys might not know, but Ryan got me a set of winter cutoffs, and they are marvelous. And you know what, Ryan? I should wear those. I'm not wearing them now, but you'd never know it. So maybe I am. Oh, well, you might see. Yeah, you probably did. Yeah, I have tan pants on today. Jimmy writes, what is your favorite Chinese food, pendejo? I know he's talking to me because Jim and I are, in fact, the Pendejo brothers. I like to go to a place, Jim, called the Sheridan Cafe on 72nd and Sheridan, and it has always been excellent. Give it a try. Joe says that he uses a lotion daily, a good lotion daily. Carl says Cornhusker lotion works pretty good for mountain dry skin. Yeah, I think I'm just, the problem is it's like on a knuckle, so it never wants to just heal up. So yeah, it'll be fine. What I need to do is I need to sleep with like a Neosporin or something and a Band-Aid over it, and it'll be fine. So, Michael McCoy asked the question, an excellent question, by the way. When will we see some more videos? Michael, I actually made a video today, and I would like for it to drop very, very soon. Probably won't be until the first of the year. But I've been so busy with like getting caught up on old projects has been a top priority for me. And I know that I've kind of let you guys down on videos. I hope that you don't hold it against me, and know that I will be back with a vengeance 2022. 2022, guys, there's going to be a lot of really good stuff that happens in 2022. I am so excited for what's going to be happening in the next year. And I can't wait to tell you guys about some of that stuff too. So, in fact, I was just talking with Mike Learn today at lunch about some new classes that I think we're going to do. It's going to be great, you guys. So much good stuff coming down the line. Rick B asks, what are your plans for New Year's Eve? Curious minds want to know, or maybe it's just me. Rick, I suspect that I will be either one of two things or somewhere in between. I think that I will probably be in bed asleep by 7:30 or passed out after howling in the moon in someone's yard who I don't know. So either one of those two things or somewhere in the middle. Actually, I have no idea what my plans for New Year's Eve are. It is very likely that plans change. Like, you don't even know. Like, you walk out the door and boom, plans are totally different. You have no idea. That's just kind of the way stuff happens. So yeah. Anyway, Rick, how about this? Rick? How about I tell you everything that I remember from New Year's Eve after it happens? Fair enough? Okay. Texas Toast Chris asks, Make sure you pre-drill the correct size hole. Maybe try in a scrap piece of wood. A lot of people don't drill large enough. Okay, so Chris didn't ask a question, but he had a bunch of question marks. I thought for sure it was going to be, hey, Matt, why are you such a dork? But yeah, so Chris is right, you guys. One of the problems, especially like because, there's wood and then there's wood. So like, for example, if you're drilling a pickguard hole or installing a pickguard screw in a swamp ash body from Dan and Calvin at Tonewood Experts, you don't even need to pre-drill. I always do, but you don't need to. Now, let me qualify that. I do because I want the screws to go in straight. We've all seen it where like the pickguard screws are all fine except one is like kind of off to the side and all the others are fishing and this one's cutting bait. So that's why I want to pre-drill even in wood that doesn't necessarily require it. Now, if you're drilling the same like a humbucker ring screw hole into hard rock maple, absolutely positively pre-drill and go maybe one bigger than you think you need to. So if you've got one of those indexes, the drill index, and it's got a 16th and then like, what is it, a 5/64 or something? And you think, the 16th is probably big enough. Go with the bigger one. And like Chris says, do it on a piece of test wood and see. And here's something that I never, ever, ever do. When I screw one of those little screws in, I don't use it again. I don't because what happens is they get hot and that's when they bust. So Dan asks, Matt, the best thing for dry hands is bag balm. Comes in a green tin for cow's udders. Dan, don't I know it? I have such a tin in my bathroom right now. But I find that's it's kind of sticky, and I need to if I'm gonna what it really is, I just need to not go like this. So I need to sleep with that stuff on there. So sometimes I'll put bag balm on my hands and then put like a bandage over it, and that works actually really, really well. So anyway, Devin asks, the double cut you came up with recently had 2 P90s near the bridge. Did it have hum canceling position? Yeah, as a matter of fact, it did, Devin. That was a neat guitar that we did with Scott Dahlhoover from Dangerous Toys, a good friend of the shop, nice guy. That was a fun guitar to do, and we did those pickups. The funny thing was you could have them each on, and that would have a hum canceling effect, or you could have one or the other on. When you were running, they were so close that you couldn't really tell a difference sonically from one to the next. And fact of the matter is that the hum canceling sound to my ear was one of the neater ones because it didn't have any hum, and I like P90s, but yeah. P90 guitars, the Honey 1%er is that's a guitar that I love, and everybody who sees it loves it too. So I know you guys will as well. But yeah, P90, something cool about P90s, right? So anyway, I noticed I'm drinking a lot less when I'm talking a lot more. Oh, I hold on, I missed something here. Okay. Corey says that he used cherry flavored chapstick once on screws. Yeah, that absolutely works. In fact, cherry flavored chapstick would work on your hands too. All my guitars smell like mocha latte from that candle. Carl is a cheeky monkey and says Astroglide helps all kinds of screws. George Davis writes, why aren't nut string slots cut on an angle if the tuning key isn't a straight pull? Okay, George, that's a great question. One is, remember there are 2 kinds of string pull. Let me get a visual aid here. So on a Strat style guitar, I just bound this one the other day. Ideally, you want the strings to come off of the nut and extend on the path that they're, so that the strings will come all this way, and they're taut, so they're perfectly straight. And they're in a straight line. And what you want them to do is wrap around the tuner so that you don't impart any sort of angle on that straight line. That is ideal. And a lot of people kind of get freaked out if the strings aren't completely 100% straight when they look at it from this orientation. The problem is that just about every guitar, including a Strat, has another plane, and that's this plane. So the strings are also straight and taut running this direction, and they come off the nut and they break down at an angle this way. So straight string pull is a thing, and you want to eliminate as many of those corners and kink spots as you can, but you're never going to completely eliminate that, even on like a Strat headstock where the strings are perfectly straight when you look at it like this, because as soon as you look at it like this, you've got a bend point, a break angle here. So keep that in mind. So why aren't they angled if you don't have a straight string pull? Well, some of them are not, as a matter of fact, but you're going to run out of nut meat really fast on some of those. So at some point you're going to bend either at the front of the nut or at the back of the nut. So it doesn't really matter. But yeah, keep in mind though that the biggest offender when it comes to strings being straight and tuning stability and instability is that break angle off the nut to the headstock when you look at it like this, not like this. Okay, says me. All right, I'm gonna get my danger glasses on here. Liam asks, do you know how much about the Guild style tailpieces like the ones on the S100? Have you used them before? I have not. But I do like the Guild guitars, and I think I know the tailpieces that you're referring to. They're like a classier looking stop tail if the one you're talking about is the one I'm thinking of. I think they're neat. Yeah, why not? Give them a try, man. Can you get them, and can you get them that don't have that big G on them so it looks like you're using a Guild one? It doesn't matter to me. Maybe your guitar company has a G in it too. So yeah, I would say go for it. I think they're cool. Daryl Hazelwood, who is an excellent guy and I know very well, says, on a bound guitar, do you scrape the binding after clear coating or do you leave the clear coat over the binding? Daryl, we never scrape binding unless any paint gets on it after masking and painting. We always leave the clear over it. So I know that you guys have seen these videos where you're at Gibson and they have this, like these big knives and they scrape all the way around and it looks perfect every time. And it, generally speaking, is. They do that after this very, very light dust kind of coating of a shellac-based paint goes down. And it's very easy to scrape. If you're using automotive paint, if you're using any sort of urethane, it doesn't scrape like that. It will not scrape like that. You have to mask it. And that's okay because masking it gives you a nice clean line too. And then if you get like a little bit of paint there where your masking peeled away, you can kind of scrape that with a razor blade. That'll come off just fine. But then we shoot over that and shoot clear over that. And don't worry about scraping it. Then you want the paint over the binding, whether you're using lacquer or urethane. So good question, my friend. Terry says, hi dude, would you ever consider making a vid on building a T-type guitar with basic tools that a home builder might have, kind of going through each step briefly and show some methods? It'd help loads. Well, Terry, I think that we could do some things like that. As a matter of fact, we have made a bunch of videos that are not unlike that already. They were a bunch of classes that we did a couple of years ago, and they worked out pretty well. Now we use the pin router and some things, but yeah, we could probably make a video like that. I think that would be a fun thing to do. But remember, the shop is very busy, and it's just Chris and myself. So having the time to dedicate to building an instrument with tools that we don't normally use would be slower and would take a long time. So I don't want this to sound like I'm being a jerk about this, but maybe if somebody decided to pay me to do that. So like, for example, if we did a video series with, say, like Bitterroot guitars and Bitterroot paid us to do that, you know what I mean? Then that might be something. Or how about this? If you have any connections to the Discovery Channel or the DIY Network, which in January will become the Magnolia Network, we could do a show on one of those stations. How would that be? I tell you what, I'm going to put this out there right now. I'm going to put this out there to the abundance that is the universe and say, attention, all network television, talent searching people, you know what your name is. Why don't we do that? Why don't we have, I'll even do PBS. I'll be the new Norm Abrams. I won't have an accent though, like Norm did. Norm was great. That would be fun. That would be a great show. And I've said from the beginning that I would absolutely do that. What about that? What if I opened my shop to a television crew and we just made a bunch of videos about making guitars and we had a lot of fun, and we could have that guy from Home Time with the beard. We could have him come out and build stuff with us. Hell, we could go to his shop in Crabapple, Tennessee, or wherever the hell he is. So yeah, if you guys know anybody who does that stuff, let's make that happen. I'm down. Okay, I'm looking. Lauren Court writes, Patreon, is the $100 incentive still valid? Do you have incentives plans for 25, 50, or 75 levels? Maybe some measured drawings. Yes, Lauren has watched the new Yankee Workshop before too. Yes, as of right now, the $100 incentive is still a thing. And remember that what we do with Patreon is we have a bunch of different tiers, and many of the things that we offer, the Patreon is a little bit like a savings account. So especially the $100 tier. So once you get enough money accrued in your Patreon level, then we'll start building you a guitar, and it's kind of already paid off at that point. So Michael is going to do. Michael, did you ever answer my question? Are you coming out in the March for the paint thing? We would love to have you. But yeah, so that is still a thing. We might be changing our Patreon a little bit. One of the things that we are definitely doing for 2022 is all of the videos are going to be chosen and inspired by our Patreon supporters, all of our delightful Patreon supporters, all of our charming Patreon supporters, all of our stunningly beautiful Patreon supporters. We want to give something back to them. So all of our videos will be ideas that they come up with. So like one guy was like, and I'm sorry, I can't remember your name other than one guy. But one guy was like, hey, I want to know the difference between the two style of truss rods that Bitterroot has. You know, there's one with the heat shrink tubing over the whole thing, and one with just it on the 3/16 round active rod. So like that was a video that I made today, as a matter of fact. So yeah, so like stuff like that will be something that if you're a Patreon member, you can send in whatever you want to see us do a video on, and we will try to work that in. So if you haven't considered becoming a Patreon member and you think this might be a cool thing to do, I think it would be a cool thing to do too. And I will tell you how charming and lovely and beautiful you are in a live stream. So yes. So thank you. All right. Do it the TT way. Thank you, SS. Oh, SS is here. We love SS. Alan says, check your email. Alan, I do have an email from you. I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you yet, my friend. I absolutely will. Doc says, for the Limba Explorer adventure I want to build in August with template set from Maximum Guitar would be best G10 on or full 10 on 7-degree angle. Okay, Doc, great question. Great question. So yes, absolutely get the template set from Steve at Maximum Guitars. And Steve has been kind enough to give me a list of codes that you guys can use when you sign up for your classes if you want to get templates. So like Doc's going to build an Explorer. Do not get the one with the Gibson style 10 on. You will not be happy, and I will not be happy. And the reason you will not be happy is because I will not be happy. Get the full 10 on and save us each a giant headache and a giant hassle. You're not going to be able to see the difference anyway, and you'll have a stronger neck. 7-degree headstock angle. Yeah, you want to use the 7-degree headstock angle. Don't worry about that. We have a jig for that. It's going to be great. Doug Cook says, being a 2-year Patreon subscriber, I would highly recommend it. Thank you so much, Doug. Even more to attend a class at TTG. Thank Doug. So Doug has been a longtime supporter, and Doug has been with us for a long time, hence the long time supporter. You guys know what I mean. I'm getting a little punchy here. I'm kind of excited. So yeah. But thank you very much, Doug, and we look forward to seeing you again this year. We hope that we get to see you again this year. So let's take a moment to thank all of our sponsors for this year. I just got an email actually a little bit ago from Chris Hill from Odyssey Beer Works here in Arvada, Colorado. Odyssey Beer Works makes the Texas Toast Red. And I talked with Chris on Tuesday, and he is so excited to do it again that I can't wait to see what the next beer is going to be. If you guys haven't ordered your beer from beerdrop.com, you still can. It's under Odyssey Beer Works, Texas Toast Red, I think is what it's called, or maybe it's just Texas Red. I can't recollect. You'll find it. And they'll ship it out to you in most states in the continental United States. So Odyssey Beer Works supports us, so support them. I'd also like to thank Ike and the gang at Flipside Music, the great American guitar store. They help us help them. I got a big invoice from Ike today for cases, and I paid it off. And I'm like, send it to me before the year's over, Ike. And he's like, okay. And so he sends me this giant invoice. I'm like, oh, geez. So yeah, but Flipside Music, guys, the great American guitar store. If you're in the Denver area, you can check out the Legacy Shop, and they're still there. But they are getting ready to move into the new spot, which will be a destination for people all over the world, all over the planet, the world and elsewhere, to come to Flipside Music, the great American guitar store. Not just the Pedal Kings this side of the Mississippi. They have all sorts of cool guitars too, including some of ours. If you're not going to be in the Denver area, though, their website is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And everything that's in the store is on the website. So check it out, guys. Please check them out. Ike is a very good buddy of mine, and I want him to continue to do great. Let's take a quick super chat here from SS. He says, Happy New Year, Matt. Thanks for visiting with SS. Thank you so much for visiting with me. I have such a great time hanging out with you guys. And yeah, it means a lot to me that 100 of you want to hang out with me on a Thursday night before New Year's. I know you guys got New Year's stuff to do. So I was saying, I did some videos today for John and Cheryl at Bitterroot Guitars, and it just so happened to work out in conjunction with a Patreon member who requested something about truss rods. John and Cheryl at Bitterroot Guitars have been with me for as long as I've been building guitars. I buy all of my truss rods from them and a bunch of other parts from them too. Some of the nicest people you will ever meet. Link in the description below to all of our industry partners. And if you use code TXTOAST at checkout, you'll be able to get a little bit of money off on your entire order from Bitterroot Guitars. I'd also like to thank Dan and Calvin at Tone Wood Experts, formerly Guitar Wood Experts. Dan and Calvin are super cool guys. And just about every single thing that we do here, we use woods from Tone Wood Experts. We have to kind of go off the reservation on some of it, but every time I do, it's more of a pain because everything that I get from Dan and Calvin is great. And I don't have to wonder, you know what I mean? I don't have to wonder, is the wood going to be right? Is it going to be cracked? Is it going to be, it's always good. It's always dry. It's always the good stuff. And if you use code Texas Toast 15, you get 15% off from Tone Wood Experts as well. Dylan McCurchie, I don't know if Dylan is still here or not, but I bet you he's getting ready to go live and talk about his new whip. But Dylan is a good buddy of ours, and his wife, Leslie, are very lovely people. They're going to be out here in May hanging out with us, basically just having a good time, winding pickups and doing classes with us all May 2022. I can't wait for that, and I can't wait to see Dylan again. What a cool guy, and his wife is lovely. And they're just, you guys know Dylan. You guys watch his show. He's super cool. So if you use the link in the description below, you guys can get money off from our good friend Dylan from Dylan Pickups. Some of the best pickups you can buy, guys, especially the P90s. Dylan's P90s are like super cool. So anyway, check them out as well. And finally, Steve at Maximum Guitars. Remember, if you sign up for a class here at Texas Toast Guitars, you get a discount on Steve's templates. And they are, by the way, the templates that you need to use if you're planning on building guitars with those templates. The other stuff is okay, but Steve's is just like next level stuff. And if you're signing up for the Great American Guitar Building Challenge, the templates that you get a discount, you get like $100 towards templates from Steve. So, I mean, that's a no-brainer. It's almost like you're getting an entry into the contest for nothing. So, yeah, so check out Steve at Maximum Guitars. So guys, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I've got some things that I need to do. I got to go tan and I got to go get buff. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for it's been a great year. Thanks for hanging out with me this whole time. I can't wait to do it again next year. I hope that all of you come along for the ride next year. Lots and lots and lots of good stuff coming up for 2022. Guys, take care. This is Matt at Texas Toast, reminding you that if you're so smart, start your own YouTube channel. That's what I did. Have a great, safe, happy New Year, my friends. Take care.